Hello everyone, this is the finale of What If Naruto abandons Konoha and becomes the Dragon Sage, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Land of Lightning, Kumo Southern Gates. This could be a problem, Madara thought as the two Kyuubi, and Ichibi and the Nibi lunged at Gedo Mazo. The battle was fast-paced as Yugito and Gaara circled round while Yami and Kushina knocked Gedo Mazo to the ground. The statue then roared and blasted both of them back with sheer chakra. This seemed to go on for another 10 minutes before Kushina and Yami backed off and slid to a hold next to the other two demons. This isn't going to be easy, Kushina commented. Sabaku Taiso. Gaara exclaimed as sand rose up and encased the demonic statue. Nekomata Guayu. Yugito soon followed and expelled a large red fireball from her mouth at Gedo Mazo. Kaiten. Kitsune Enden. Both Kushina and Yami exclaimed as they unleashed twin streams of fire at the statue. The flames turned the sand into glass, completely encasing the statue in clear glass, making it unable to move. Now, Rikia shouted as he jumped high into the air and formed a spear of lightning in his hand. Fuinjutsu, Reimu. He threw it down and it struck the statue's glass prison. Just then Gedo Mazo roared, unleashing a massive shockwave which knocked the four demons and one cage back. It broke free of my Fuinjutsu with brute force. This isn't working, Gaara spoke grimly as the glass suddenly shattered. "It," Madara ordered darkly from atop the monstrosity's head. A moment later its mouth opened and a ghostly dragon shot out at the group. "Don't let it touch you," Kushina shouted as the group jumped out of the spirit dragon's way. "Damn it," Yami cursed in thought as he retracted Kyuubi's chakra and took the form of a human-sized chakra fox with 9 tails and skeleton bones. "None of us have the strength to destroy that thing. Maybe if we can kill Madara it will stop on its own," he thought and disappeared in a burst of speed and reappeared atop Gedo Mazo's head near Madara. "So you wish to fight? Fine, I'll take you on," Madara chuckled as he narrowly evaded a strike from Yami's swishing chakra tails. "Too slow," he said and landed a sharp kick to the side of Yami's head, sending him crashing down to the ground. "Why won't you just die already?" Yami roared as he reappeared behind Madara in a burst of speed and slashed him across his face. They both tumbled down to the ground below and Yami quickly slammed the Uchiha down into the ground with an echoing thud. "Die! Die! 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 Die!" Each shout was followed by a earth-shattering punch until finally Yami had enough and started charging a familiar black chakra sphere at his mouth. "Imari. On Myoten, Izanagi," Madara whispered as Yami's just exploded in his face. The resulting blast spread out, knocking Gedo Mazo, Kushina, Gaara, Yugito and Rikia away as the world was consumed in light. When the blast died down, all that remained was a large crater with the various combatants struggling to stand at its outer edge. In the center of the newly formed crater a clearly exhausted Yami whom had returned to human form and a battered Madara lying down on his back a few feet away. How many times do I have to kick your ass before you just die?" Yami breathed. "To think, you forced me to use Izanagi again. Just give up," Madara glared as he slowly rose to his feet once more. "You give up? Trying to make me give up?" Yami shot back and drew the onagen from its sheath. "It seems this won't be decided by our knowledge of jutsu," Madara said as he unsealed a scythe with a chain connected to it. "But by our skill with a weapon. Let's go," Yami yelled as the two charged at each other. "Not good enough," Madara laughed as he phased right through the Shadow Warrior, catching him with his chain. "Kimura no Jutsu," Yami exclaimed as a large seal materialized on the ground around them. "What?" Madara thought in surprise. "Both of my eyes have closed thanks to Izanagi. He must have set this up knowing I couldn't see anything." "Jikuken Ido," Yami spoke clearly and disappeared in a spiral of space and time. "He copied my Jikuken Jutsu," Madara cursed mentally. In the blocky pocket dimension created by Madara, stood Fu in her human form looking around worried. Sudden movement to her side caught her attention and she turned just as Yami spiraled into existence. "You're late," Fu told him. "Let's go," Yami grinned and grabbed her hand. Jikuken Ido. A moment later they were gone in another vortex of space-time. "We're back," Yami said as he and Fu reappeared on the battlefield. "Let's end this," Kushina roared as they all pulled back. Yami and Fu both exploded into their full Biju form. Now, she yelled as the 5 Biju threw their heads back and started gathering large masses of chakra into black spheres at their mouths. Konbi, Taju Bijudama. They bellowed as they launched their respective attacks directly at Gedo Mazo. No! Madara cried out as the attacks struck their target and detonated in a blinding flash. Gedo Mazo was unable to withstand the saturation strike and was consumed in fire as the blast washed over it. When the light finally died down, Rikia appeared right in front of Madara and slammed him into the ground with an echoing thud, sending cracks through the earth around them. Hold him down! Kushina shouted as she reverted back to human form and landed beside him. Ura Shisho Fuinjutsu, she exclaimed as her chakra chains grabbed hold of the fallen Uchiha and a seal formed on her stomach. No, I will not die here. My Moon's Eye plan will be completed. Madara yelled as the chakra chains held him down. You will be sealed in this decaying corpse for all eternity, Kushina snarled at him. Fuin, she called out as the chakra chains pulled him into her seal. It's finally over, Yami sighed in relief as the last of the Kyuubi's chakra left him. Yes it is, Yugito nodded as she released the Nibi's chakra and fell to her knees. Naruto, Kushina spoke as she sent a sad smile at Yami. Before I vanish again, please remember, that both your father and I love you. We made you into a Jinchuriki and left you all alone, I'm sorry. Despite all the misery it's caused me, Yami admitted. Having a Biju sealed inside me, isn't so bad. I really am sorry Naruto. Kushina trailed off as his body fell apart and slumped to the ground. I'm glad to see Kumo still stands strong with the next generation, Rikia commented and nodded towards Yugito. Look after the village and I'll see you in the next life, Nibi Jinchuriki. Until next time Sandaime Sama, Yugito bowed in respect and Rikia fell to pieces a moment later. I wish to remain a bit longer, Gaara admitted. I want to see my brother and sister again. The jutsu can last forever if needed, Yugito told him. Fu, we're leaving, Yami said as he placed a hand on her shoulder. Chikukanido, they were gone a moment later. Let's go back to the village, Yugito suggested. Land of Lightning, Cloud Peak. Cloud Peak was the home of the dragons of the elemental nations, however they generally lived in the hollowed-out mountain itself and not on the mountain. At the top of the snow-covered tip was a small cave blocked by white paper of all things to keep it hidden from outside forces. Too bad for them that someone knew how to find them. Open up! Naruto yelled as he punched the paper barrier with enough force to tear open a hole in it. Where are you? He demanded as he pushed his way inside. So, peace arrived, has it? Questioned a voice from the darkness of the cave. Stand aside Conan, he ordered, and a woman with blue hair reluctantly stepped out of the way. Deeper in the cave was a white-grey chair with mechanical legs, and in it sat a red-haired man with the Rinnegan, and he appeared to be nothing but skin and bones. Are you the real one? Naruto asked the redhead. I am trying to create peace, Nagato spoke clearly. Surrender now and give me the Kyuubi. You attack my village, murder anyone who gets in your way, and then have the audacity to tell me what to do, Naruto shot back. I don't fucking care if you're the Rikido Sennin himself, fuck off. You dare? Conan glared as she took a step forward. Don't move, Nagato told her, and she froze in place. It's already over. Suddenly a chakra rod shot out of the chair and struck Naruto in the stomach. At this range I can easily control you. You're really pissing me off, Naruto said as he flared his chakra, the Kyuubi's chakra and his knight's chakra all at once. He pulled the rod out of his gut and tossed it aside. Are you done yet? He asked with a glare. Why you? How did you? Nagato stammered in surprise. Even at this range Nagato's chakra rods are useless. Conan thought. If that is the best you've got, then you don't stand a chance against me, Naruto stated with a sigh. You know, I came here because I wanted to find out what your problem was, but talking to you now, I find it too much of a pain in the ass. What? Nagato's face settled into a glare. I am trying to create peace and save the world from human nature. This is most certainly not a game. Peace. Save the world. That shit has got nothing to do with my life, Naruto glared back. The world can't be saved so damn easily, he said and turned back towards the exit. Where are you going? Nagato demanded. I'm leaving, Naruto replied over his shoulder. You may have some crazy powerful jutsu, but right now you're nothing but a cripple in a chair with delusions of godhood. Then what would you suggest? Nagato asked the question. If the answer was so easy, Naruto said as he stopped and turned back to the two Akatsuki founders. Don't you think someone would have figured it out by now? You do not know true pain. Nagato sighed and shook his head. Pain? Are you shitting me? I'm a fucking Jinchuriki for crying out loud, Naruto shot back. We're hated for the demons we hold, but you know something, living with a Biju isn't so bad. You do not know the pain of losing someone close to you or the hatred it creates, Nagato said simply. I loved Konoha, and the Sandaime Hokage, despite the fact that he lied to me my whole life, and when he died I was sad and I hated the one who was responsible, Naruto responded. But you know, I stopped caring a long time ago. What do you mean? Nagato questioned. Moving past that pain and disregarding that hatred was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, Naruto admitted. But I've learned that lingering on the past and forgetting to look towards the future will only cause more pain and misery. There's nothing I can do about your pain or the hatred of this world, other than look forward to tomorrow. You may not be able to do anything here and now, but, perhaps, maybe. I can do something. Nagato lowered his head and brought his hands into a seal. What are you doing? Naruto asked. You do understand true pain. Nagato's eyes glowed gray as he channeled chakra to his hands. Gedo, Rinnya Tensei no Jutsu. No Nagato. Conan exclaimed. That jutsu will. This is something I have to do, Conan, Nagato reasoned. There is something about this boy. These eyes of mine can see many things, and when I look at him I see what could have been and what must never be. What is he doing? Naruto asked again. He's sacrificing his life in order to bring back those who have died today, Conan answered. What is this boy to have changed Nagato so much in so little time? You're just like Madara, the Kyuubi spoke from the back of Naruto's mind. You can manipulate people to do whatever you want. The only difference between you and him is that you manipulate light in people's hearts while Madara manipulates the darkness in people's hearts. Never compare me to that bastard, Naruto shot back. Done. Nagato breathed as his hair turned gray. On my Oten, Banbutsu Sozo, he said next. Nagato. Conan whispered as his eyes turned white and his Rinnegan disappeared. No. Kyuubi growled as Naruto's eyes started to burn. That bastard just transferred his Rinnegan to you. Dear Kami, this hurts like hell. Naruto thought as he shook himself. It is done. I leave. The rest, too. You. Nagato breathed out his last breath and finally passed away into death's embrace. Nagato. Conan trailed off as tears fell from her eyes. What about you? Naruto finally asked. I'll return to Am and provide aid any way I can. I'm not going back to the Akatsuki, Conan replied after a moment of silence. Madara is dead, a new and very familiar voice declared as a certain shadow appeared behind Naruto in a spiral of space and time. Yami. Naruto thought in surprise as he turned quickly. I've got you now. Yami laughed as he swiped with his Onagen and sliced across Naruto's right arm. Finally, he shouted with glee as he backed away with blood on his sword. Now I can finally complete my plans. He licked the blood off of the blade and seals started to spread across his body. Kimura no Jutsu, his eyes suddenly turned gray and rings formed around the pupils. He just absorbed the Rinnegan from me. Naruto thought with wide eyes. Now we can end this little game of ours, Yami smirked. Where are you going? Answer me. Naruto yelled as he lunged forward and was surprised as he literally ran through Yami like he wasn't there. Pandora's box, Yami began. I like to think of it as the prison where all the demons were locked away by a goddess. The Juubi no Okami came from the box and the Rikido Sennin appeared and sealed the beast within himself before hunting down and exterminating most of the remaining demons that escaped. With the Juubi no Okami now separated into the 9 Biju, I plan to release another Juubi upon this world. Why would you do something like that? Naruto questioned. I thought that was obvious. Yami chuckled as he turned towards his other. I plan on sealing the new Juubi within myself and become the ultimate Jinchuriki, the strongest shinobi in the world. After that I will wipe this world clean of all life and with the power of the Rinnegan and the new Juubi, I will remake this world in my image. You can't just play God like it's some kind of game. Naruto shouted in anger. Why not? It makes life a little more interesting, don't you think? Yami asked amused. If you think you can stop me, I welcome you to try. I'll be waiting at the place where Pandora's box is buried. The Valley of the End, as space and time started to spiral around him. Jiku Kanido. Wait, Naruto yelled as he lunged again, but it was already too late. What just happened? Conan asked, unsure. Yami, he got away with the Rinnegan, Naruto replied. The Valley of the End, huh? Where the hell is that? Land of Lightning, Kumo Southern Gates. The day after the battle with the Akatsuki and the forces of Omegakure no Sato, the rebuilding of the village began. The Raikage and the village council had already entered into talks with the Lightning Daimyo and his council in order to acquire funds for the rebuilding efforts. As for the village itself, what do you mean, you're leaving? Yugito demanded. Yami is heading to the Valley of the End, Naruto replied as he grabbed a pair of scroll off of the table. I need to face him. No way, Yugito denied. It's too dangerous. I'm going, Naruto said back as he turned and slipped on his red trench coat. Naruto-kun, Haku spoke up. I agree with Yugito-chan, it's obviously a trap. Maybe you're right, Naruto nodded. But I need to finish this. Why? Why does it have to be you? Yugito questioned. Why don't you just let someone else handle it? Because I'm the savior of this world, Naruto replied with a grin. Kiribi-sama is still sealed in that moon thing that Pian created and we still don't know how to release him, Yugito said clearly. The last thing we need right now is you going off gallivanting after Yami. Quote. I'm sorry, Naruto said sadly. We can't let you just go like this, Naruto-kun, Haku told him. Hey, wait, Yugito shouted as her Kusanagi transformed into its snake form and launched itself at Haku. Kusanagi quickly grabbed the Kubakiri Hoko and then launched both of them into Naruto's hands. I love you both, Naruto smiled back and disappeared with both swords a moment later. Hiraishin no Jutsu. Quote. That reckless idiot, Yugito said as she clenched her fists at her side. Come on, Haku spoke to her. We need to inform Raikage-sama of this. A few miles outside of the village, Naruto reappeared next to one of his discarded three-pronged kunai from the battle against Pian the previous day. He looked over at Kumo in the distance and smiled at the memories of his time there. Thank you for everything, Kiribi-sensei. Old man Raikage. Haku-chan. Yugito. Naruto trailed off and turned away. He took off running, intending to escape the country before Kumo sent hunter nins after him. He still had a job to do, and that was to stop Yami once and for all. He couldn't let Yami open Pandora's box and release an army of demons on this world. He didn't know why Kusanagi had seemingly abandoned Yugito, grabbed the Kubakiri Hoko from Haku and come with him, but he knew it must have had its reasons. He could feel the Raijin pulse and fuse with his body without him even realizing it until he felt the rush of chakra from the blade and his white armor form around him. He slipped both Kusanagi and Kubakiri Hoko onto his back and increased his speed as he felt even more chakra enter his system, this time from the two rebel swords themselves. It's time to go to work, Naruto declared. Former land of fire border, Valley of the End. Are you done yet? Yami inquired as he appeared in a spiral of space and time. Almost, Fu answered as she stood right between the two massive statues of the Shodai Hokage and Uchiha Madara. Hurry it up, Yami grunted and turned away. Where have you been? Fu asked over her shoulder. You disappeared for hours. Quote. I was testing out the limits of my new powers, Yami replied. How? Fu asked further. By destroying Iwa and Kiri, Yami answered with a satisfied smile. Why you destroyed two of the major ninja villages? Fu stammered in surprise. Both of those villages were directly responsible for the destruction of Azushio, Yami reasoned. They got just as they deserved for their crimes. Yami-kun. Fu thought worriedly. In the last 3 years that they had known each other, she had grown to care for him as more than a simple traveling companion, and she, more than anyone, recognized who he truly was. He may have started out as nothing more than a mere shadow of the original Uzumaki Naruto, but he had grown and he now had positive emotions to balance himself out. However, he was still driven by the desire to complete his goals and get his revenge on the world that wronged him. There was no denying that he was a monster and that his goal was horrifying, but this is what he wanted. He wanted to change the world by destroying everything and then rebuilding the world and everything in it from scratch. He wanted to create a world where anger, hatred, war, disease, hunger and suffering didn't exist. He wanted to create a never-ending paradise where there would never be victims like himself. All he needed was a chakra source powerful enough to use that jutsu on a large scale. Oh, he's finally here, Yami smirked as he looked further down the valley. What? Fu asked in surprise. He's coming, you know, Yami said as the loud roar of a dragon filled the air. I need more time, Fu told him. Continue the ritual. Yami waved her off and fully turned to confront his opponent. You're attacking head on. You haven't changed at all, Naruto, he chuckled and formed a series of hand seals. Kuchio's no jutsu. Taka appeared in a puff of smoke and shot straight at the oncoming dragon. Taka, stop those two. It looks like we're expected, Miyaka said innocently as she skimmed the surface of the water. Have you got any ideas? Yeah, I've got one all right, Naruto nodded as he rose on the dragon's back. Shirado, he exclaimed as his seemed to retract and change into the shape of a mechanical appendage reminiscent of an airship's cannon. Green chakra erupted from the tube and blew clean through Taka with one shot, causing it to yelp in pain and fall lifeless into the water before disappearing in a puff of smoke. Nice shot, Miyaka laughed as she blew through the dust cloud and continued on towards the statues. Target the base of the statues. Where the feet are. That's where Yami is, Naruto ordered. I've got him, Miyaka acknowledged, and a large fireball exploded from her mouth. Kaiten, Teppadama. The massive fireball quickly descended upon its target when Shinra Tensei, Yami whispered and dispersed the fireball with the wave of a hand. How disappointing, he commented only to blink in surprise when a single three-pronged kunai flew past him. That last attack was just a decoy. Hiraishin no Jutsu, Naruto called out as he appeared behind the shadow Uzumaki. Rasengan. He lunged forward and threw out the familiar spinning chakra sphere in his hand at his opponent. Fujutsu Kyuin, Yami spoke unconcerned as the chakra sphere was quickly absorbed. He grabbed Naruto's outstretched arm and pulled him so that they were face to face. Surely you can do better than that. I already have, Naruto shot back and then brought his other hand up and thrust forward into Yami's stomach. Gogyo Fuin. He called out as 5 elemental symbols appeared over Yami's Jinchuriki seal. That's. Yami stammered as he pulled away, clutching his stomach. Now you've lost the ability to use the Kyuubi's chakra and your chakra control is screwed. Sit tight and I'll deal with you later, Naruto explained before rushing past Yami towards Fu. You're too late, Yami smirked as a column of light exploded upwards from the foot of the statues. The ritual is already complete. There's still time, Miyaka spoke up. If we can just reseal it before the seal breaks down completely, we may have a chance. Good luck with that, Yami chuckled. Did you ever wonder why I chose Fu-chan over all the other Jinchuriki in the world? Did you ever wonder why she was chosen to wield one of the Rikudo Sennin swords? It's because she was one of the only 2 female Jinchuriki, and you had already chosen the other as a sword bearer. What are you talking about? Naruto demanded. Only a woman can lay their hands on Pandora's box, Yami explained. If a man does so, they die and their soul is cast into the box to be devoured by the demons within. I needed Fu-chan in order to open the box and release a new Juubi, and the best way to ensure that was to select one of the strongest women in the world. Naturally my choice had to be a Jinchuriki, but since you had already sunk your teeth into the Nibi Jinchuriki, I chose Nanabi Jinchuriki. She will release the new Juubi and I will become its Jinchuriki. With it I will be able to power on Myoten, Banbutsu Sozo and change this world. I won't allow it. Naruto shot back and the Kyuubi's yellow chakra exploded from his form, taking the shape of the Rikudo Sennin. Unlike before, however, the seal was distorted and his jacket was open to reveal a black undershirt. The jacket itself had extended downwards and appeared to be waving in the wind with yellow flames flickering off the bottom. Is that the Kyuubi's chakra? Yami asked in surprise. That's not a Biju's shroud. On Myoten, Banbutsu Sozo, Naruto exclaimed as his Rinnegan glowed silver. Red and blue flames formed in his hands and reality distorted around them. Suddenly the valley was gone, replaced by endless mountains, and Fu lay barely conscious not too far away clutching a gold box with the remains of the 2 statues, now nothing more than rubble around her. Damn it, Naruto gasped as blood spewed from his mouth and he felt the last of the Kyuubi's chakra leave him. That jutsu was. Yami trailed off with wide eyes. He only acquired the Rinnegan yesterday, how could he have mastered control over creation so quickly? That should maintain the seal on Pandora's box for now, Naruto breathed. Truthfully, the only reason he was able to do something like that was because he'd finally gotten the Kyuubi to cooperate with him fully after attaining the Rinnegan. Apparently, after gaining those eyes on top of the Rikudo Sennin's form that the fox's chakra took, forced the Kyuubi to recognize him as the old sage's successor and finally tell the boy his name. Naruto still had trouble believing that after 16 years of calling the fox the Kyuubi, it turned out that the furball had a name like Kurama. Let's just say the fox got an earful and leave it at that. Gogyo Kaian, Yami said as he quickly released the seal placed upon him moments earlier. As long as I have Fu-chan, I will have access to a new Juubi. What makes you think I won't kill her? Naruto inquired. I'm still you, Yami replied with a shrug. Despite our time apart, I still know who you are and what we can become, he smirked again. Let's finish this, brother. I'm still here, you know. Miyaka shouted as she rushed right at Yami. Tsukuyomi, Yami whispered as he stared up into the dragon's eyes. Miyaka suddenly shifted her course and crashed into the ground beside Yami. You have no part to play here, dragon. Damn you. Naruto yelled as he shot forward. Yami smirked as a long chain extended from his sleeve. Naruto closed in and channeled chakra into his right hand to create the spinning sphere of energy that made up his signature jutsu. He lunged forward and phased through Yami only to be caught by the chain when he had fully passed through. Naruto then flung a three-pronged kunai to the ground a few feet away and flashed to it. Yami quickly turned and disappeared in a burst of speed only to reappear behind Naruto a second later. Naruto reacted immediately and buried another kunai into the Uchiha's chest. Not bad, Yami seemed to cough. I can barely touch him, Naruto thought with narrowed eyes as he phased through Yami. Jikukan-Ido, Yami grabbed his wrist and laughed as space and time distorted in a spiral around his face. Naruto quickly flung a kunai away from them and flashed to it. Hiraishin no Jutsu, he gritted out as he reappeared and crashed down on the ground. Yami remained standing where he was and slowly turned towards the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. You shouldn't blame me for this, you know. I'm doing what everyone else does, doing what's in my nature. To be the strongest, to go the farthest, to climb the highest. By becoming the Jinchuriki of the new Juubi, I will eradicate all suffering from this world and establish true peace. I won't let your twisted sense of logic destroy this world, Naruto shot back as he took out another three-pronged kunai. You can't even touch me, Naruto, Yami said simply as the blonde shot forward and formed another spiraling sphere in his right hand. To compete, to envy, to hate each other, and devour one another. That is the nature of this world. All I need is one shot, Naruto thought as he closed in and flung the kunai at Yami. Would you shut the hell up already? Yami allowed the kunai to phase through him and quickly moved to grab Naruto. The moment he took hold of Naruto's arm, he laughed as his jutsu took effect again. I have you now, nah, he was suddenly interrupted as Naruto appeared on top of him and struck him down. Rasengan, Naruto exclaimed as he pushed the chakra sphere into the shadow Uzumaki's back, drilling him into the ground. Got you, ya bastard. He shouted as Yami quickly disappeared and reappeared a few feet away. You. Yami growled out as he stood up once more. How did you? His voice was filled with anger and hatred. Hiraishin no Jutsu, Naruto appeared beside him and plunged a kunai into his side. You placed that damned seal on me. Yami shouted in outrage. This world may not be perfect, Naruto spoke clearly. But that doesn't give you the right to play God. Amaterasu. Yami exclaimed as black flames exploded from his eyes. If I don't change this world, then who will? I'll change this world. Naruto shouted back as Kyuubi's yellow chakra returned to him and he narrowly evaded the deadly flames. Who's going to believe that line? Will they understand that? Of course they won't. Nobody will. Yami yelled as he quickly formed a series of hand seals and spewed out twin dragons of fire at the darkening sky above. Kaiten, Goryuka no Jutsu. You've got to be kidding me. Naruto thought as he stared up at the forming thunderstorm. I'm fighting too, remember. Kurama spoke from the back of his mind. Your brother has the yin half of my chakra and I want it back. Get ready, he could feel the demon fox smirk. Humanity has brought us to this path, with their ignorance. The greed, the jealousy, goodbye my loathsome brother. Yami brought his left hand up towards the clouds and then down to the ground. Kirin, a moment later lightning flashed above them and took the shape of a roaring dragon-like beast. It struck down with a resounding thunderclap and the entire valley seemed to shake as it exploded in light. When the light died down, Yami stood breathing hard but otherwise appearing unharmed. It's over, he whispered. I wouldn't be so sure, Naruto spoke from behind him. Impossible, Yami said as he turned and spotted Naruto standing at the edge of the newly formed crater with a Hiraishin kunai in his hand. Of course, your Hiraishin no jutsu. You almost got me with that last one, Naruto admitted. But we both know that it's not going to be that easy. Quote. Hey, Yami smirked. You never did know when to just give up. Neither did you, Naruto grinned back. I suppose not, Yami conceded the point. Susanoo, he whispered, and a second later a large purple ethereal Yamabushi with a bow and arrow in its hands. Oh shit, Naruto muttered as the Yamabushi loaded an arrow into its bow and fired. Kyuubi, he shouted in thought as the yellow chakra shroud appeared over him. He narrowly dodged the first shot and shot forward at Inhuman, dodging several more arrows as he moved. Futon, Raisin Shuriken, he exclaimed as he formed the familiar wind-enhanced chakra shuriken in his hand and threw it right at Yami. That's too much, Yami commented and held up his hand towards the approaching shuriken. Fujutsu Kyuin, he whispered, and the chakra shuriken dissolved. That's. Naruto trailed off. The power of the Rinnegan. You seem surprised, Yami mused. What's wrong? You also have the Rinnegan now, so why don't you use it? Because unlike you I don't rely on bloodline limits to fight, Naruto shot back. My strength is my own and I worked hard for it. And I haven't, Yami asked amused. We both knew where we were heading when we chose to walk this path all those years ago. Duke, Crusader, Eternal, Freedom and Justice are the 5 sentient swords created by the Rikudo Sennin. We both knew that nothing was easy, and yet we still accepted our swords as a part of us despite knowing that there had to be a catch of some kind. Now we have reached the end of that path and there's no way to prevent it now. Humanity vanquished just as they deserve. He formed a hand seal and a second later so did Susanoo itself. What are you? Naruto started only to stop and look up as a deafening roar echoed through the air. No way, he whispered as a meteorite descended through the clouds towards them. Gedo, Ryusei no Jutsu. Yami exclaimed as the meteorite slammed down onto the ground with an echoing thud and massive shockwave that wiped out the whole mountain range. Shinra Tensei, Naruto called out as he pushed outwards with his gravity manipulation. Former land of fire border, Valley of the End. Yugito, Haku and Team Samui had been dispatched by the Raikage to pursue and recover Naruto following the Kyuubi Jinchuriki's departure 2 days ago. With all of Kumo's airships remaining on standby back in the village to defend against possible attack by the smaller shinobi villages, the Naruto retrieval team had been forced to pursue on foot. Even at full speed it had taken them 2 days to cross the distance between Kumo and the destination where Naruto was to do battle against his evil twin. Thankfully they were almost there. What the hell is that noise? Karui asked as they stopped atop a series of branches. You've got to be kidding me, Yugito muttered as the ground suddenly shook beneath them. I think Naruto-kun is fighting further up ahead, Haku mused. I wouldn't go over there if I were you, a new voice spoke from the side. Yugito trailed off as she looked over at the green-haired girl who was resting on the branch of a nearby tree. Aren't you Yami's girlfriend? Quote. I suppose, Fu sighed. Those two have been fighting for 2 days straight without a break. You're joking, Karui spoke up. I know Naruto-kun has stamina that any man would kill for, but 2 days straight without a break. And you're saying that Yami is keeping up with him? Omoi asked. Those two. Fu shook her head at her own words. They're far more than mere humans now, even by Jinchuriki standards they're not normal. I'd even go as far as to say that they've surpassed Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara when they were in their prime. Can't we get any closer than this? Yugito asked the question. I've tried, Fu replied. Every time I get closer they always pull off some ridiculously powerful jutsu and I get blown away. It's been 2 days and they're still going at it as if they're just getting started. Damn it, Yugito gritted out. Yami-kun even took my sword to do battle with Naruto, Fu sighed. Right now there isn't anything more we can do. Mokuton, Jukai Koten. Yami exclaimed. He landed in a crouch with his hands locked in a seal. Hundreds of trees exploded out of the ground behind him and sprouted towards Naruto in a web of wooden death. Is that all you've got? Naruto yelled back as he crossed his fingers into a seal and shouted out. Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 100 shadow clones exploded into existence at his side and shot forward. Cho Udama Raisin Tarangan. They bellowed as they descended on the approaching wave trees with massive spiraling spheres in their hands and wiped them out. Come now, Naruto, we no longer need words to understand each other. Yami laughed as Naruto burst through the smoke with a familiar chakra shuriken in hand. Futon, Raisin Shuriken. Naruto called out as he hurled the chakra shuriken right at Yami. Amaterasu, Yami whispered as black flames exploded from his eyes and struck the chakra shuriken in midair, forcing it to expand and then explode in a torrent of wind prematurely. That's not good enough, Naruto. Hiraishin no Jutsu, Naruto appeared behind him in a flash and thrust forward with a spiraling sphere. Rasengan. Chidori. Yami exclaimed as he brought his hand up and encased it in lightning chakra to parry the attack. The ground shook as the two attacks connected and exploded with enough force to blow both combatants away from each other. Come on, Naruto, there can only be one Rikudo Sennin in this world, so let's finish this and see which one of us is the strongest shinobi. Has anyone ever told you that you talk too much? Naruto asked. Many times, Yami replied while remembering the hundreds of times Fu had commented on it. There's always another way, Yami, Naruto told him. It doesn't have to end like this. Humanity brought us to this path, Yami shot back. With their ignorance, the greed and their hatred. Humans are worse than any animal because they're monsters that pretend to be civilized. At least the Biju do not deny who and what they are. Maybe you're right, but still. Naruto shook his head. Humanity is a flawed creation, but they don't deserve to be wiped out by us or anyone else. If they're destined to go extinct, it'll be by their own hands and theirs alone. Neither of them counted themselves as human any longer, especially when considering the sheer amount of destruction they had brought upon the landscape. Their powers were unmatched and had reduced the Valley of the End to nothingness. They stood apart, one bathed in golden light and the other a master of darkness. Two sides of the same coin. They never learn, Yami denied. They never listen, mankind vanquished, at last, just as they deserve. I won't allow it, Naruto declared as he felt the Ryujin separate from his body and appear in his hands. So be it, Yami nodded as he held the Onijin at his side. Ascendo. They're still going at it, Omoi winced as two columns of light exploded upwards in the distance. They've finally released their night forms, Fu spoke up. Are you saying they haven't used them yet? Yugito asked. They've been fighting with nothing but the normal abilities, Fu explained and shivered. It looks like they've finally grown tired of playing around. What should we do? Omoi asked. Nothing, Yugito replied. Despite their size, both knights were unnaturally fast as they swung with their massive sentient swords, clashing and battering each other at speeds that exceeded that of even the Yondaime Reikage. Each time the huge blades struck each other, the ground cracked around them and released a series of shockwaves. No words were needed as they broke apart long enough for Yami to shift his weight and launch himself right at the White Knight. Inside the Black Knight known as Crusader, Yami couldn't help but smile as he cleaved the White Knight in half at the waist, only to frown when he saw that he had cut nothing but Naruto's cape. Raiten, Feinaruyushin, Naruto exclaimed from above as a beam of light exploded from his shield and descended on Yami. Ha 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 ha. Yami laughed as he jumped into the air and narrowly evaded the beam. The beam struck the ground and the ground trembled as the earth exploded, leaving nothing but a mile-wide crater filled with dust and ash. Doesn't this feel right? Look at us, fighting for the right to call ourselves the strongest shinobi, just like Senju Hashirama of old. Doesn't it feel good? Like I care about that. Naruto shot back as he landed on his feet. Kaiten, Senpu Hosenka. Yami roared as his wings spread out and flames shot right at the White Knight. Damn it, Yami. Naruto yelled as he raised his shield and blocked the flames before batting them away, setting half the battlefield on fire. The sky was dark with thunderous clouds overhead, the result of their 2 days of personal war, and rain started falling, putting out the flames of battle even as Yami slowly descended back to the ground. You didn't answer my question, Yami spoke clearly. My answer is no, Naruto replied. It doesn't feel good. I hate war and the suffering the victims have to go through every time it happens. You know that my plan is the only solution, Yami said as he lowered his sword and pointed his free hand at the White Knight. I will create a world where there is no more anger, hatred or envy, and all that stands in the way is you. Are you really so lost, Yami? Naruto asked almost pleadingly. It doesn't have to end like this, you know. Quote dot dot dot. We both knew what we were getting into when we first laid our hands on one of the swords. Yami shook his head as he raised the onigin once more. And I told you that we don't need words to understand each other anymore. Quote dot dot dot. Fine. Within the core of the White Knight, Naruto's eyes narrowed into a glare as he readied the Raijin at his side and launched forward. Reiten, Feineru Hajimento. Reiten, Sutere Kureiteningu. Yami exclaimed as the two swords connected with a blinding light. The clouds above them broke apart as the earth below exploded. Such ridiculous strength, Haku commented as the ground shook and the light died down. I knew that Naruto was strong, Yugito said in both shock and awe at the sheer amount of ungodly power being thrown around. But I had no idea he had surpassed us so completely. This can't go on, Fu thought with a worried look. Despite their inhuman power, if this keeps up they'll end up killing each other. Yami was after Pandora's box, right? Asked Haku. Yes, Fu nodded. So where is it? Haku asked further. Quote dot dot dot. I don't know, Fu replied. I lost track of it after the battle started and I haven't seen it since. Dust and smoke drifted off from the scorched and fire-covered battlefield as debris littered the area surrounding the two battling knights. Their armor was cracked and fell away as their swords clattered the ground. Their lungs were gasping for air as their forms shattered like glass, dropping the two warriors to the ground where they landed in a crouch. Do you know why every Rusenin before me has been killed by their shadows? Naruto asked the question. No, Yami replied. It's because they never had any friends to fight beside them, Naruto explained. That's the reason why I survived out first battle all those years ago in the land of Wave. After that you had to have known that you couldn't beat me as long as I had my friends with me, so you decided to steal bloodlines in order to acquire more power to overwhelm us with. Your point? Yami asked with a shrug. It didn't work because during our fight in Takagakure no Sato I had something worth fighting for, Naruto continued. Now even after you sealed away the other half of the Kyuubi's chakra inside yourself and absorbed the Rinnegan, I'm still able to fight you even footing. We'll see about that, Yami scoffed and stood straighter as his fists clenched at his side. I grow tired of this. Crimson chakra exploded from his form and propelled his body up into the air. His skin was ripped apart as his blood mixed with the vile chakra and condensed into a red haze that covered his form. A white fox-shaped skeleton formed over his body and enlarged, creating something that was not human at all. Soon flesh started to grow over it until it completely covered the now massive demon fox, and skin followed not long after. In the end Yami stood with the body of on 4 mass claws and 9 massive tails swishing about behind him. A loud roar erupted from the demon fox's mouth as he threw his head skyward that echoed across the battlefield. Get ready, brat, Kurama spoke from the back of Naruto's mind. I want the rest of my power back and I will get it. Yellow chakra flames engulfed Naruto in a blaze of golden light as his jumpsuit unzipped itself and the modified seal unraveled until it completely opened. His jacket swung open, revealing a black undershirt as the bottom of his jacket lengthened with the yellow flames flickering along the bottom of it. Yellow chakra continued to expand out from his form, and with a deafening boom it took the shape of a massive transparent fox with 9 tails and a long series of seals similar to the ones Naruto's form, stretching across its body from its spine all the way along its tails. Let's go, Kurama. Former land of fire border, Valley of the End. The two battling massive 9-tailed foxes clawed, punched, kicked and slammed against each other as what was once a beautiful valley and forest was now nothing more than a series of craters 10 miles wide. There were no words exchanged as the two slammed into each other again, sending up a massive shockwave which tore apart the landscape around them. Yami grinned as he grabbed Naruto's chakra arm and threw him at a nearby mountain, flattening it upon impact and causing his lighter half to roll back to his Bijudama. Yami bellowed as he released a single black sphere of chakra at the chakra fox. Naruto jumped up high to avoid the blast as he sailed past him, striking the mountain behind him and erasing it from existence. Hold still and die. Like hell, Naruto shouted as his chakra body seemed to disappear and he vanished in a burst of speed. What is with that speed? Yami thought as Naruto appeared above him and reformed his chakra fox body. He fell, pinning Yami under him and biting into his neck. Why is your chakra shroud so different from mine? He shouted as he broke free. Why is it like that? Quote dot dot dot. You already know, Naruto replied from his place inside of the chakra fox's head. But then, why isn't it like that for me? If we're both the Rikudo Sennin reborn, then why am I like all of the other Jinchuriki? Yami asked, unsure. Because the real Rikudo Sennin was champion of light who didn't let his darkness consume him, Naruto replied. I often wondered why he created his swords and gave them to the dragons. I think he wanted his next incarnation to become greater than he was and to do that both light and darkness but must be balanced. The let's end this, Yami said finally as he started gathering chakra in his fox mouth. Naruto brought his arms up as he too gathered chakra into a massive black ball many times his own body. Udama Bijudama. Naruto and Yami called out as he unleashed the massive chakra spheres at each other. They struck each other with inhuman force, exploding in a massive sphere to destruction that seemed to stretch across the land, slamming into both of them with monstrous power. The crater that remained was easily 1,000 miles wide with both Naruto and Yami, in human form, on each side of the crater. Coughing echoed across the site as the assembled ninja could only gaze in disbelief and a little fear at the sheer size of the crater that had just been created. Despite the stories of old claiming the Kyuubi no Yoko's power was without equal, they had always had trouble believing anything could be that powerful. Senju Hashirama was regarded as the strongest shinobi of the founding era and most thought of his power almost as mythical as that of the Rikudo Sennin. Upon seeing the full power of the Kyuubi at work and not to mention knowing that Uchiha Madara was a monster of a man, how strong must the Shodai Hokage have been to not only stand against such a force but also emerge victorious? When will this end? Haku asked the question. I don't know, Yugito answered honestly. I think it just did, Fu responded as a pillar of black chakra shot up into the sky from the center of the crater. That's Pandora's box. You're not saying. Yugito trailed off. It's open. Get up now. Kurama yelled from the back of his mind. We are out of time, get up and close Pandora's box before it releases something. You can't, Yami spoke up as he landed by her lighter half and collapsed to his knees beside him. The box is already open, nothing can stop it now and I'm too weakened to seal the new Juubi. It looks like we both lose in the end. I can beat it, Naruto groaned out. Naruto, even with my power we are no match against a Juubi. There's no more we can do but run, Kurama countered. You just don't give up, do you? Yami asked him. We don't give up even at the end, Naruto shot back as he painfully pushed himself to his feet. The column of black chakra died down to reveal what looked like a massive obsidian dragon with 10 massive tails and flaming red hair along its neck. So this is the human world. The dragon mused aloud. Intriguing, it looked down and took note of the two identical blondes standing before it. Do you wish to flee, humans? It befits your kind to run and cower in fear of the coming fire. Your world is over, I will enjoy hearing the screams of your kind as they are slaughtered without mercy. Not if I have anything to say about it, Naruto shot back as his 3 swords started to resonate. If you want this world then you'll have to go through me. Even now at the end of the world he's still standing, Yami thought before a smile crept onto his face. Is it his love? Is that what makes him stand back up even when he know he can't win? Is that what gives him his strength in the darkest of hours? Just looking at Naruto's back as he clutched the Ryujin tightly in his hand was answer enough. Well then I'm not going to be showed up by a fun-loving fool. The shadow warrior shakily pushed himself back to his feet and felt both of his swords start resonating with the others. What? Are you gonna help? Naruto asked his darker half. Someone has to finish the job after that bastard kills you, Yami countered. So you both stand before obliteration to defend this world, would you? How curious, my brother when he was alive told me that the humans he'd known were weak things, hardly more than insects, shivering under rocks and ready to flee at the mere sight of him. When he last walked this world, they did little more than scream and cling to their god, mewling and praying, counting on him to protect them. How amusing to think that those cowards begot someone like you too, the Juubi no Ru sneered. The Juubi was a creature of pure evil, old man Rikudo purified us when he created us. It was nothing more than a rampaging beast who took joy in the torture of those it considered beneath it, that's why it didn't wipe out you humans when it had the chance. When old man Rikudo descended to this plane of existence he defeated it before it could destroy this world, Kurama explained to both halves of its Jinchuriki. There's 2 of us and 1 of you. I say the odds are in our favor, Naruto's voice echoed across the battlefield. Ha 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 ha, the monstrous beast laughed at the audacity of the claim. You grow more fascinating by the second, human. I never imagined I'd meet one of your kind who wished to stand against me in battle. Very well then. I shall prepare a place for us where we will not be bothered by distractions. If you still have the courage to face me, seek me there. He's leaving. Naruto thought as the obsidian dragon seemed to explode into a column of black chakra and disappear back into Pandora's box. He's probably working on completely opening the box and allowing his army through. The first Juubi did the same back during the Demon War. His armies hunted down any stragglers that somehow managed to escape his rampage, Kurama suggested. We have to stop him before he can do that, Yami responded. If you fear for your life, do not follow me. You can spend what little time your world has left cowering and crying, as befits your kind. But if you truly desire to raise your blades against the world I would build, then come for me. I've waited eons for this moment. I can spare a few more minutes to deal with you, spoke the Juubi as it completely disappeared back into the box. Let's go, Naruto said aloud and Yami nodded in reply. The two approached the box and as one, they touched its side. They yelped in surprise as they were pulled inside. It appeared that the legend about only women being allowed to touch it without consequence was true after all. Pandora's box, World's End. The two appeared in a dark and twisted void with red water on the ground all around them and black clouds above them, lightning lashing back and forth. It seemed completely empty except for the lone massive black dragon with 10 tails standing with its back towards them. So you've decided to meet your end in battle after all, the Juubi smirked darkly as he turned towards the pair. It pleases me greatly to see such misplaced valor, humans. Take a moment to appreciate your surroundings, for where we stand shall serve as your tomb for eternity. Why do you want to destroy our world? Naruto asked. The other Juubi wanted to hurt us too, but we don't know the reason why. The hate for the gods that has boiled in our veins. You will taste all of it in my claws, the Juubi sneered at them. The only question left is how long you will remain standing before I take your insignificant lives. Try to keep it interesting for me, would you? And when you do fall, know that your world and everything in it is mine to dominate, mine to subjugate, mine to rule. When I finish with you, you can take solace in knowing your friends and kin will soon follow, as I wipe all who oppose me from the face of this world. Cocky bastard sure loves to run his mouth, Yami commented. Look who's talking, Naruto countered. Focus, you two. Kurama shouted in aggravation. It won't be long now, the Juubi chuckled darkly. At last, the world shall be under my foot for all eternity. Like hell it will. Naruto and Yami yelled as they both launched themselves at the looming dragon. Suddenly the 5 swords exploded in light, encasing the 2 Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi in golden light before they seemingly fused together. What is that? The Juubi asked with narrowed eyes. This is. Old man Ricardo, you magnificent bastard. Kurama roared as he felt the other half of his chakra return. You knew all along. When the light died down, neither Naruto nor Yami were in sight. Instead there stood a 40-foot-tall armored giant plated in white and black. A single golden blade sat in the knight's hand and a red cloak on its shoulders with black flames emblazoned on the bottom. This was the 6th and final knight of the Sage of 6 Paths, a fusion of all 5 knights and a descendant of the old sage. Salvation. You merged together. It matters not, the Juubi sneered in disgust. Your defiance is nothing but an annoyance, human. Now kindly die. The dragon shot forward with speed far greater than one would expect considering its size. You've made one mistake, Salvation said clearly as he disappeared just as the Juubi attacked. You underestimated me, he spoke as he appeared from above and struck down. Gravity shifted, wind spiraled outwards and lightning struck as the blade connected, stabbing straight down through the black dragon. The Juubi snarled and pulled away, letting loose a roar which shook the world around them and seemed to shatter the void itself. Its tails flailed about, seemingly uprooting country-sized chunks of the ground in the distance before hurling those same chunks at the ultimate knight. Just die already, human. The Juubi roared as it threw a country-sized rock at him with one of its tails. That's not good enough, Salvation grunted as he held up his hand. Shinra Tensei. He called out as gravity shifted, pulsing outwards with unnatural force and destroying the massive chunk of rock. Why won't you die? The Juubi snarled as it gathered chakra at its mouth in a massive sphere 4 times as big as the ones used by Naruto and Yami earlier. Cho Udama Bijudama. The chakra sphere exploded at the knight only for him to turn his hand towards it. Shinra Tensei. Salvation yelled as the sphere detonated in a blinding flash. The blast washed over the two combatants and seemed to shake the whole void before finally settling down. In the end, though, Salvation was still standing, though admittedly his armor was cracked all over even as he was gathering chakra to his left hand. How do you still live? The Juubi no Ru asked in surprise. Because I still have something worth living for, Salvation replied and raised his left hand. Futon, Raisin Kamikas, he exclaimed as he hurled a massive chakra shuriken at the demon dragon. It struck the creature right in the chest and expanded in a mountain-sized ball of wind and power, tearing at the monstrous beast with a tornado of destruction. Finally, with an echoing boom, it exploded outwards, knocking the knight down, leaving a heavily wounded and bleeding Juubi in the center of a newly formed crater. Extraordinary. You stand as a paragon of your race, human, the Juubi rasped out. You fight like no creature I have ever known, though this is not the end. My kind's hatred never perishes, it is born anew in a cycle with no end. I will break this chain of hatred, Salvation spoke clearly. Quote, Those like you, those who share the blood of that accursed sage and that will of fire, they are eternally bound to this curse. We shall ever follow your kind, dooming them to wander a blood-soaked sea of darkness for all time. The Juubi declared before shattering into a cloud of darkness. Raise your sword, Kurama spoke to the knight. Salvation nodded and brought the blade up towards the dark cloud. The darkness seemed to be pulled into the sword as the world around them dissolved, shattering like glass and finally vanished when the last of the dark cloud had been absorbed. That Juubi has been sealed inside the sword and will be eradicated over time. Why didn't the Rikido Sennin do this to the first Juubi? Salvation asked. Because he sealed it within himself instead of the sword, Kurama replied. He thought it couldn't handle it unlike his own body, and by the time he realized it could, he'd already created a Spiju. Quote, Let's go home, Salvation sighed as light consumed the dark realm. Land of Lightning, Kumo Hospital. A white ceiling, how he hated it and the white walls around him. That was the first thing he took notice of upon waking from his peaceful slumber, followed soon after by the calmly forsaken sun beaming through the closed window. A groan escaped him as he felt pain flare up from what seemed like his entire body, though unlike other times he was actually glad that he felt pain. It meant he was still alive. I'm alive, Naruto thought in wonder. And I'm me again. Yami, where did Yami go? He tried to pull himself together and sit up only to feel something heavy pressing down on his legs. Yugito. Haku, he breathed out upon seeing their sleeping faces with their heads resting on his legs. They were seated beside his bed, dressed in what looked like their civilian clothes. His words had jolted him awake, however. Naruto. Yugito blinked before shouting. Naruto. She yelled as she lunging at him, pulling him into a hug. You reckless idiot. Naruto-kun. Haku trailed off with a small smile. Do you know how worried we were when you took off to fight Yami? Yugito questioned. Quote, I'm sorry, Naruto sighed and leaned back in the hospital bed. It was something I needed to do. You. Yugito said as she pulled away and clenched her fists. You idiot, she shouted as tears flowed down her cheeks. Don't you ever do something like that again, understand? I won't, Naruto agreed. Haku. He asked as he turned to the dark-haired Yuki. I'm glad that you're all right, Naruto-kun, Haku smiled tearfully. Come here, Naruto said and pulled her into a hug as she cried. I'm all right, everything's going to be all right from now on, he whispered to her as she shook in his arms. What happened to Yami? He asked the Nibi Jinchuriki. After you both reappeared on the battlefield, Fusan grabbed Yami and escaped. A few teams were sent out but they found nothing, Yugito replied. I see. Naruto trailed off. And the sword? Haku answered. We couldn't find the other swords. Miyaka Dono and Hotori-sama took the sword we found with you, Yugito added. The 5 swords merged into one, Naruto mused. They became the 6th sword. It's with the dragons now, Yugito nodded. And hopefully it will never need to be used again, Naruto sighed. Hey Kurama, you okay? My chakra is split again, Kurama replied. Though at the same time I feel whole, I can speak with both of you now like I could before with your shadow clones. So you can talk to Yami? Naruto asked in thought. Yes, Kurama answered with a grunt. Where's he now? Naruto inquired. A long way from here, Kurama replied before falling silent again. So what happens now? Haku asked the question. The Akatsuki are defeated, Kumo is the last of the major villages and practically rules the shinobi world now. Yami won't be bothering us again and Pandora's box is locked up once more. I think we all need a well-deserved vacation, Naruto grinned. I feel like I'm forgetting something important though. Hovering a few miles away from the village was a massive floating construct in the shape of a sphere created by Pion. This artificial moon housed the brother of the Yondaime Reikage, the Hachibi Jinchuriki and sensei of Team B, Yotsuki Kiribi. He'd been imprisoned in this thing for a week now, and even with the Hachibi no Gyuki sealed in his body, he was starting to get hungry and thirsty. I hate to say it, but I don't think we're going to get out of here anytime soon, Gyuki spoke up. It'll be fine, yo, Kiribi waved off his concern. All we have to do is wait for Naruto. That kid, Gyuki mused. Even after all this time he still has people waiting for him. Huh, you say something? Kiribi asked with some confusion. It's nothing, Gyuki replied dismissively. That kid just reminds me of someone I knew a long time ago. Really? Kiribi asked. Who? Land of Water, Eastern Sea. The water was calm and peaceful as the lone ship sailed across its surface heading away from the shinobi continent towards distant lands. The crew were going about their business as the man in charge was barking orders left and right. While this was happening, a single figure clad in black and orange stood at the front of the vessel staring out at the endless ocean. Yami. A woman's voice caught his attention and he turned his head towards her as she approached him. Shouldn't you be resting? You're still recovering and shouldn't push yourself too much. I'm fine, Fu-chan, Yami responded with a smile. I'll be alright. Quote. You've changed since your battle with Naruto, Fu commented. When all of this started, he and I were only half of a person. But when we became salvation, we were made whole again, Yami explained as he turned his gaze back towards the sea. He and I now share the same heart and soul. He loves those two girls that stand by him and I. You. What? Fu asked him. Quote. I think actions speak louder than words, Yami grinned sheepishly before wrapping his arms around her waist. Yami, what are you? She was cut off when he pulled her close and brought his lips to hers. She resisted for a moment before wrapping her arms around his neck and kissing him back. Eventually they pulled away, blushing heavily as she took a deep breath. So I guess I know where you stand now. Quote. And you? Yami asked, almost nervous. I will always stand by your side, Fu answered with a smile as they sailed off towards their next great adventure. Land of Lightning, Reikage Tower. 4 years passed quickly for those that lived in Kumogaku no Sato, the strongest and most powerful of all shinobi villages on the continent. With Kumo now being in possession of all 9 Biju, no one was stupid enough to challenge them, resulting in an era of peace never before seen in the shinobi world. Of course there would come a time when war would begin again, it was a part of human nature after all, however it probably wouldn't happen in their lifetime. A year after the final battle, Naruto married both Yugito and Haku, refounding the Uzumaki clan in Kumo. 2 years after that, both Yugito and Haku gave birth to a boy they named Uzumaki Minato and a little girl Uzumaki Kushina respectively. Naruto had 2 broken hands after his wives had finished with him, and even Kurama had sympathized. Speaking of Naruto, I am so late. The now 20-year blonde hero was making a mad dash for the new Reikage's tower, the old one having been destroyed during the Akatsuki attack 4 years ago. Why today of all days? Reikage-sama is waiting for you on the balcony, Naruto-kun, spoke the Reikage's personal assistant. Thanks Mabui-chan. Naruto yelled over his shoulder as he passed her and ran up the staircase. He never changes, Mabui shook her head with a smile. Oh man, I am so late, Naruto thought as he ran through the corridors towards the Reikage's office. Why didn't you wake me up? I'm not your damned alarm clock, brat, Kurama shot back. Besides, I was busy last night. Yeah, and I bet Matatabi-chan was as well, Naruto countered. Speaking of Matatabi-chan, since both of you were created by the Rikudo Sennin, doesn't that mean you two are brother and s? Finish that sentence and I will eat you, Kurama growled at him, making sure that his Jinchuriki realized it wasn't an idle threat. Okay, Naruto thought defensively. As long as you're both happy. Whatever, Kurama dismissed it. Eyes front and center, it's time you faced the music. Here goes nothing, Naruto said aloud as he opened the door to the Reikage's office and slowly entered. I hope he isn't too ups. Iron Kuro. He shouted as he grabbed Naruto's face and squeezed. Ah, Naruto yelled as he tried to break away. I'm sorry I'm late. Now can you please let go of me? You overslept again. He bellowed at the Kyuubi Jinchuriki as he let go. On today of all days. I knew I should have used the Hiraishin no Jutsu, but I kind of forgot to place a marker in your office, Naruto explained. You placed one at the Uzumaki compound, one at that ramen stand you always visit, and one at the training grounds. Yet you keep forgetting to place one here where you get assigned your missions. And to think I selected you for this, Yi sighed at the absurdity of it all. Go get ready and be back here in 5 minutes. The blonde was gone a moment later. Sometimes that kid is worse than Kirby. Yo, lay off 9-0 for the day, speak of the devil. He'll be fine, so take this as a sign, Kirby rapped. Quote. Iron Kuro. Here we go, Naruto grinned as he approached the balcony where his wives were standing. We promised ourselves that we would be the first ones to bow to you when the time came, Haku spoke up with young Uzumaki Kushina in her arms. You did it, Yugito smiled at him with Uzumaki Minato in her arms. You really did it, she said as she and Haku bowed at the waist, holding their children close to make sure they wouldn't drop them. I'm glad you're with me, he said. But you never need to bow to me. We love you, Yugito told him sincerely. Always, Haku added. I love you too, he smiled back before stepping out onto the balcony where the village populace was assembled below. Quote. From this day forth a new era begins. He shouted to the masses as he stepped out onto the battlefield. For today onward I am the god, I'm Raikage. The applause was deafening. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.